In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Welcome back to my channel Nadir Hussain AR and to the course of React and React Native. Today we are going to discuss Context API and its use cases. In the last video we had discussed state management through Redux toolkit and had understood the Redux as well, right? Today we are going to compare the context API with the Redux as well, that what is the difference, right? So let's start. The first thing first, that what is the context API? So basically context API is something that enables us to share some data or state across components, right, across our UI components by creating global variables, and it resolves the issue of props drilling. You might be aware of this term props drilling. It means that when component keep passing on the state or the props to the nested components, like from parent to child then other child. So when data goes through different layers of components, this is called props drilling, right? So this usually becomes cumbersome when basically we have to pass data in 3 to 4 layers, right, nested layer. So in order to resolve that, we need some global container of the state, right? So context API enables us to put our data into global place or global variables and then access it in whatever basically component we need to use it. Then the natural question is that what is the difference between context API and Redux? In the previous video we discussed that Redux is also used for the state management. We create slices and store and reducers, right? And store is the main container. The difference is basically context API is a lightweight thing, right? It is used for small state, right? Whenever you need to put large state or manage large state of data which need to be accessed by all components in your or most of the components in your application, then Redux is the solution. However, let's suppose all your application is based on the some local storage stuff or some internet, right? It requires internet always and you do not need to store the data locally. You just need profile data to store it. All other data will be fetched each time through the APIs and will be shown to the user. So there is no offline storage supported in your application in that case, because you need just profile data to show it on the different screens. Then context API should be your choice because you have to save just user data. The second use case is the theme as well. In one of our previous videos we discussed that basically theme provider, when using third party libraries like React Native Paper or basically Material UI or Chakra UI, they provide the providers. However, today we are going to look that how to create our own provider, right, through context API, and how to basically make central custom themes, right, without the use of any third party library. Okay, the next thing is that how context API works. Context API is basically based on the producer consumer principle, that it involves three steps. The first step is basically there is a create context hook, a method basically provided by React, right? We use this to configure the provider, and then we provide the state that we need to share across components to the provider value. We are going to look into the codes very soon. The next step is once we have configured the provider, then provider is going to wrap our application, and then we can use context hook, or in some cases context.consumer component can be used to consume the state, right? In our case we are going to use context hook throughout the application to basically access the theme. So now let's check how basically we can use this context API to configure a central theme, custom theme, without any involvement of third party library, right? So in this use case, basically theme object is going to be the state. Theme contains basically colors, spacings, and fonts, names of the fonts, right? So this is going to be our state that we need to share across our application. So let's look into the code. So this is first thing is the theme. We configured a theme constant and it contains colors, fonts, and spacings, right? The next thing, as I said, in the context API, first thing is to create the context. We used create context method of the React, and basically this theme context is going to be used to configure the provider. Theme context dot provider, this value is the one that we need to share, the state that we need to share. So here this method is basically parameterized. We are going to pass theme to this theme provider, and then this is going to be configured in the value of the theme context dot provider. Here in the app.tsx we wrap our application with theme provider and provided this theme to be default theme, right? This default theme, this is being provided as a parameter. This will come here as a parameter and will be passed here, right? So we are done with the first step, creating context and configuring the provider. The next step is how to consume. We are done with the production part or the providing part. Now the next step is consuming part. For consumption we use context hook, right? And here we will need theme context which we created here. Theme context is used in both places, to configure provider as well as to configure use context, right? So now this use theme hook is going to be, which basically is a wrapper over this use context. We are going to use this use theme throughout our application to access elements in the theme, right? So here we call this use theme, and this theme has been provided to us. Then we can use this into our style provider and can access colors. I hope you have understood these steps, right, and have also understood the comparison between the Redux and the context API. So context API is basically a lightweight API to share the state across the components, while Redux is heavyweight, which basically is more suitable when you have to store the large set of state. Thank you very much.